Yeah, sophomore that sits.
Whatever my wife said she wants,
Worse
she's
than
getting.
having, you need a sophomore better playing full JV schedule.
Because those kids are
Then her legs started feeling better. She says, well, maybe we don't need that elevator. I says, I think we're far enough down the road now, we're gonna get it one way or
Never
another.
understood why you
You'll be
bring
glad you
somebody
did.
up and then they don't.
I remember when I was.
I think somebody down there's
Yeah.
not even building
Shaft.
the shaft. I forget who it is.
I think there is.
Snyder's?
No.
Really?
They said they need all the room they can get.
Sitting on the bench.
Man, that shaft's
right
like
up
only
my sophomore.
8
One
by
of them
8
is
at
8.
best.
And the
Yeah.
seniors, they're smaller than that,
Oh, is it?
residential. It's a good pantry or closet.
Yeah, it wasn't
You're
my
not
fault.
Putting the elevator in.
That's what Robbie Miller uses for part.
That's what Mike,
Inspector come.
I sold a house down there and that's.
Is it illegal to start too early?
Yeah.
Floors in.
No, we actually have everybody here that's
Everybody's here that's gonna be here.
What's-
All right, let's get this meeting of the City of Washington Board of Public Works meeting underway. Roll call, please.
John Vietmeyer,
Here?
Mike Ratatek,
Here.
Brad Mitchell,
Here.
Steve Richardson.
Here.
Steve Struberg,
Here.
Jeff Moheski, Josh Brinker,
Here.
Steve Selentrop,
Here.
Greg Scornia, Susan Waterman.
Here.
Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was going to wear a tie and a jacket this morning like Kurt, but decided to forego that.
You have your dogs in your car?
Yeah, I got dogs in the car. Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Motion, second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes approved. Wastewater. Looks like got a report on the blower.
Yes, I don't know if you guys remember or not, but in last year's budget, we had a replacement of, we budgeted to put in a high-speed blower. We finally got that installed this year. This year budget, it carried over from last year. There was a lot of, let's say, issues, but they were just lining up with Ameren UE because we got a really good rebate from Ameren on the energy saving that we'll have. So really just want to let you guys know that it's installed. We are going to be monitoring it to see how much energy it actually does save. So I'll have a report sometime this year, this coming year, on from what we was spending on energy down at the wastewater treatment plant to what we're spending now on energy with the new blower installed in it. So something that we had been working on for a couple of years and finally got it going. So
Okay.
that's just want to let you know where we're at on that.
What's the life expectancy on one of those blowers?
They tell me it's an expectancy of 20 years as long as maintenance is performed on it on a routine manner, O&M, maintenance. So it's a positive displacement blower. We've got 2 of those blowers down at the old treatment plant that were installed when the old treatment plant was built in whatever year it was built, and with maintenance, and there was some breakdowns, but they're still running down there. So that's why we went to this blower rather than the ones that we had problems with ever since that plant was built. So
Okay.
that's that on that.
Okay. Replacement of the air scrubber.
Actually, we, as we all know, there's always been an ongoing issue down at the treatment plant with odor. What was it, 3 years ago now, we built that temporary peat moss cover over the influent wet well down at the plant. It did a really good job of absorbing the odor, and the odor's been down. However, I always like to say every action causes a reaction, and with having that covered, we're containing hydrogen sulfide down in that cell, and it is starting to show some adverse effects on the equipment and the metal down below, so it's time to put an air scrubber in there. I have it budgeted for this year, so we're moving forward with getting pricing, and once I get that, I'll bring the pricing to you guys and let you know what it's going to cost and kind of the concept of how it's going to be working. But just want to let you know that we're moving forward with that. That will be taking the air in from the influent wet well, the effluent side where the grit separator is, where we've got that covered too, and then the air out of the upper headworks channel will be added to that too. So it should be able to absorb 90% of the odor. We're always going to have some odor.
Will you be removing the cover then?
No, that cover, there'll actually be, that cover will come off, the peat moss cover will come off, and then there will be a fiberglass cover put over top of that with a hood put on that, which then will be hooked up to the piping, which will suck the air out.
Okay.
So,
And there's a filter system, I suppose?
yeah, it'll be a biomass filter system that will have to have maintenance too, but it's minimal compared to what the benefit we'll get from it.
Okay.
And I'll have all that for you guys once we get everything lined up. and
Further
get
down the
going.
line, but that's in the budget?
It's in the budget, and we will be doing the installation in-house. It's pretty much a straightforward installation, so we'll be able to handle that in-house, so.
Any other discussion on wastewater? Okay, moving on to water. Water tower, Crestview.
Yeah, as we reported last month, we should be starting, and I've got Joel here from McGuire Iron. Al was supposed to be here, but something must have come up, and it's hard to say what could have happened there. But I've got Joel here to kind of give you guys an overview of, to me, the lead abatement and the lead removal is probably the most important thing of this project. So I wanted to kind of have Joel here to kind of give you guys just an overview of how they're going to contain the lead and what they're doing to keep it as easy and as mitigatable as possible. So that's why Joel's here, and just kind of want to keep you guys in front of what's going on, so that if you get any questions, you can kind of answer them out to the public.
Welcome,
So-
Joel. Give us a rundown.
Hey, that works.
You're on the air.
Thank you very much. We're looking forward to doing the project here on Crestview. It's a little bit challenging just because it's in a neighborhood, so we'll probably take a few more precautions than it would if it was out in the middle of a cornfield, which a lot of tanks are. But we are fully containing this tank, so we will be building a drape containment system in over it. So initially what we do is pull up on site and we build rigging boom on top of the tower so that we get an extension beyond the tower diameter, and then the drape system goes along the outside of it. So initially the boom system will be welded on, so you're going to have some activity there. And then we put what we call a bonnet on the top of the tower, and then the drape cables come down or anchor down to the bottom, and then the drape system comes actually from the ground up to the top. So it will be contained as long as the wind is less than 20 miles per hour. Once it goes on 20 more miles, we have to drop it. But anytime we're working inside there, what we're doing when we do blast, because we are taking the tank down to bare metal inside and out, and there is a level of lead that we want to mitigate. So we actually are adding to the blast media, which is a garnet. We're actually adding this product called Blastox. And what that does is it encapsulates at the pressures that we're blowing at. It actually goes in there, and when it strikes the metal and it's removing the paint, it actually encapsulates those particles. So it lowers the level, and we take lead level tests prior to, so soil samples and everything around the site prior to, and then we take what we call T-clip tests, which are total level content. And then we take those periodically so that we know the lead levels, and then we see what the lead level is with the blast media once we take it all down. So the way we collect all that, though, is we have, when we drape the system down, the entire ground underneath the tower is tarped off so that nothing really absorbs into the soils, so that we're keeping the area clean as possible. And then we collect all that, put it in drums, and then do the lead level tests and get those reports from a local lab. And then we dispose of it. Depending on what the lead levels are, if they're low enough, we can actually dispose of the blast media in a standard landfill. And we have to get the permits from the local landfills. And we usually go in a perimeter and find out which areas will accept that. Some won't, depending on the level of that they're prepared to take, but again, depending on what those lead levels are, most landfills will take that. So I'm trying to think. Typically the interior, again, we're blasting the interior, but we really don't have huge amount of lead levels on the inside, but those are contained, self-contained pretty much in themselves. And then inside what we call the dry area, that's pretty much contained as well. So anything in there. The biggest thing is on the exterior, and like I said, we're covering the ground with tarps and everything to contain that. And then there's no blasting going on to remove any of the materials while the curtain's down, so.
Did you assure the city that there wouldn't be any rust on the outside?
I'm sorry, could you?
The
restate it?
outside, once you get the paint off, if there's any kind of rust on it at all, or any kind of pitting, is there going to be an extra cost for that, I'm sure?
No, no. Basically, when we blast the outside, we're doing it at what we call an SP6 on the outside. So that takes it down, pretty much takes any corrosion or anything like that. From the inspections that we've done, I've done several I've been on this tank, how many times, Kevin? At least three times in the last 4 or 5 years. So I kind of know the levels of lead that are not lead, but the corrosion that's on the outside. And we have some spots, but if there's any heavy pitting or anything like that, what we do is hand tool it, but it's not significant enough where we would have to actually add any metal to it, where we do pit welding or puddle welding or anything like that. So, but any of that would be taken care of.
For the age of the tower, you think it's in pretty good shape?
Yeah, it's in good shape. It's just the life of the coating is beyond its usable life, and you want to take it off because at this point the mill thicknesses are such that the profile of steel is starting to come through, and then that's when you start having the corrosion when it's pit, and it's like cancer, so it's just going to start rusting and go underneath. I'm sure you've seen in a lot of cars how you see it starts to bubble and that type of thing. It's the same thing with a water tower. So. But it's in pretty good structure. Structurally, it's in good shape. I'd say maybe inside is where we actually see more corrosion when we start blasting, where there would be more potential where we would have to do any puddle welding or any pit welding or anything like that. But it's not in that bad a shape either.
The tank is structurally, it's in really sound shape. When you go up there and if you walk up to it and look at it, you'll see several spots that have what looks like a rusting area starting, but it's really just all basically surface rust. The interior is what has given us the biggest problem, and it's not really a problem, it's just a major repair. We have to replace the whole inner fill type pipe going from the bottom all the way to the top, because in 2002, we developed a leak in that tank up at the very top where the filler tube goes into the bottom of the bowl. Mm-hmm. And the nature of water towers, they're lined with fiberglass, insulation on the inside, goes all the way down the pipe. Well, the water ran down that insulation and out the drain at the bottom, so we didn't know it was leaking. It was small enough that you couldn't tell it was leaking. Well, that fiberglass for probably 4 years held all that water. Well, and it just started corroding the pipe. Could have we maybe sandblasted that pipe and maybe used it? We could have, but it's gotten to, I had somebody came in and they did a metal thickness test or something,
test, yeah.
And it's right at that point where it's good, but something could happen. So while we're doing this project, we need to add a mixing system to it anyway. So I'm just going from the ground all the way up, basically we're starting with a brand new water tower in a sense.
What do you think the lifetime expectancy is going to be when you're done?
As long as you maintain it, longer than anybody in this room. Yeah, we've got water towers that we're working on that are over 100 years old, that are still, as long as they're maintained.
We'll all be gone, and somebody's grandkids will be running this place, and it'll still be standing there.
So, and that's the thing, the step you're taking now, you're taking down to bare metal. You're not trying to do another overcoat, and like Kevin says, you're replacing the fill pipe. And that's a very common thing because of the insulation. It's kind of a double-edged sword. You're protecting it from freeze and bursting, in the winter months. But you are collecting it, you don't see it. And every time it's inspected, you don't remove that because it's pretty costly for a crew to get in there, remove that, 100 feet and then put it back on. So I would say in the lifetime of a water tower, that fill pipe's probably replaced 2-3 times in a lifetime, let's say 60 to 80 years. So it's fairly common to replace that fill pipe, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Joel?
When you strip it, are you gonna start priming it or something along the way, or are we is the whole tank gonna be bare?
No, you always want to prime it, so we'll be blasting and priming right behind it because you don't want any flash rust on it because it will corrode real quick. So if for some reason, on the larger structures, a lot of times we have to put an intermediary product on it to stop it from doing flash because we just don't have the time to come behind it. But It's 750,000, sir. I'm sorry,
500.
500,000. I got too many tanks in my head where projects, but yeah, so we're priming it right behind, and we're using a zinc primer, so it's zinc enriched. So it's it has its actually own sacrificial properties. So even if we've actually had tanks where we've started in the fall and the winter, we got an early winter, and we've actually left the tank just with the zinc primer on it all winter long, and then come back and put it in and had no problems. So since we're attacking this in the more or less the spring.
Yeah, I don't know if Joel's company did the one in St. James, that big one right around along the highway, but that's what happened to them. They actually had to stop working on it, and they had that one zinc coated, and it went months before they could get back to it, and it didn't. You couldn't even tell. It just was. It was just a different color. It didn't rust, or there was no rust exposure or anything to it. So, yeah, the primers do a good job. That's for sure.
And just to let you know too, as far as our experience. See, what are we, 100 and going on our 103rd year in business? As far as size of projects, we just finished one in Sedalia. It was a 1 million gallon legged tank right in the middle of town. It was full containment, lead abatement. See, we're about to do St. Clair's. We're going to be doing the same thing in the spring on their 300,000 gallon tank. I kind of could go on and on as far as how many tanks we've abated for lead and contained them. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Stick around, and if any more questions pop up.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
353 update.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to the packet the balance for the 353 Corporation. It's a new year, so I figured we'd start out right with the balance on there. I do believe there's at least one lot, maybe two lots that are, and John might know a little bit more about this, one or two lots that are in the process of being sold, which could possibly almost pay off the complete balance that we have. So just want to let you guys see where we were at. I know this was always something it's always been there, and it'd be nice to have it done and taken care of.
And right now, that balance is $241,745.43.
Yes,
Plus the interest.
plus interest, which I don't know why we don't ever have the interest on there, but
All right.
all right, that's,
We'll stay tuned.
like I said, just, it's for information, just trying to keep you guys up to date, so.
All right, thank you.
All right?
We do have a invoice, partial from Donahue. That was, it's at your positions, it wasn't in the packet.
Yeah, it came in a little bit later. Well, it was an emailing thing, so I got it. I received it on Thursday before the packet went out. I did not open it up until Friday, so then I gave it to Beverly. So we went ahead and added it back in. But now Donahue was not sending Beverly the email; they were just sending it to me. So now Beverly's going to get it. So it'll be in the packet every month. I just didn't want to let this one fall back a whole month and then have to worry about catching up and didn't want to fall behind. So that's why it was added later.
So this current request is $749.78.
Yes.
So
Moved by staff.
Yes.
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We'll approve the bill. Water. We were talking before the meeting about water line breaks. Just a quick update, Kevin?
Yeah, we've had a few. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we've had in the last month we've probably had 7 water main breaks. Nothing like St. Louis. We're very fortunate that way. Why we are, I don't know, but our water mains usually break when it warms up and not when it gets real cold, which is good for the guys. They're not out in the cold so much. Every break that we've worked on, besides one of the breaks had a hole in the bottom of the pipe, which happens to just age. All the other ones have what we call ring breaks on them, which is actually literally a snap in the line, which breaks around the pipe, and we just put a sleeve over it. Usually it takes longer to wait for locates than it does to fix the water mains, but we've been pretty lucky.
I'll just add one more thing. We did see a rash of like service line breaks on homes. A lot of the structures had sump pumps in them. So what you'd have is a leak that would be outside the house. We would be working on trying to identify whose responsibility it would. And the sump pumps would be running the entire time as well. So you were getting icing in the streets and the curb and gutters. Particularly there was one up on Walnut. between 5th and 6th Street that caused a pretty significant icing situation. So we try to get them as fast as we possibly can. With the very cold weather last week, we were salting them, and then actually the next day, since we weren't getting any kind of positive results from that, Tony Street Department actually went up there with a backhoe and a mini excavator and actually took the ice, removed it from the street. So if the public has any concerns about that, we try to get them as fast as we can. Sump pumps are a problem in town. They're not a problem until it gets to be, less than 32 degrees for 10 days or so. So we're working on them. I will be trying to identify them per home, and then working with the property owners this spring to see if we can come up with other solution rather than discharge those sump pumps to the curb and gutter. So that's kind of the workflow here, is to try to solve these problems as we find out about them. So.
And just to add to the sump pump issues, there's one important thing I think everybody needs to know is that sump pumps cannot be pumped into the sewer system. And that's one of the problems. You cannot tie your sump pump into your domestic sewer drain. It's what they call an infill and infiltration issue, which is in our codes, and the DNR and the EPA feel it's very strongly against that. So it's not promoted and advertised that they hook it into the sewer system.
So if you have any questions regarding sump pumps or things of that nature, just give me a call and we can work through some solutions. So,
Okay, thank you. Any other business? Any old business? Next meeting scheduled for Tuesday, February 13th. There's no other business or comments. I'll take a motion to.
One quick thing, I feel I need to remind everybody that on the 19th is our committee and commissions holiday party.
Very good.
Friendly reminder.
Up. RSVP to Mary.
Yes.
I think.
Sherry.
Sherry.
Mary Sherry, yes.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Proud.
That's right, still keeping it on.
Wasn't that something? I'm sitting next to John Goodman.
These are good ones, yeah. Yep, they are.
See you, Sully. Thanks.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Forward to being in town.
It's an epoxy-based paint. It's a 25-year life
Today's
paint.
Drape system.